And we're back! Get your mittens on, everybody, it's time for the Iceborne expansion. If you're new around here, which I'm guessing most of you are, you can check out my reaction to the base game of World in a different video, link below. In giddy excitement of Wilds, we're looking back at the 5th gen and ruminating on all that it brought. Plenty more videos to come, so hit that subscribe button for more. Right, let's get straight into it, going more or less in the order of the in-game monster guide. Beatodas. You know, it's a little weird, isn't it? Coming off the back of the terrors of Behemoth and Arch-Tempered Hedgehog, only to get into a bright new expansion against a fish. But not all battles need to be arduous. Not all fights need to break you. And as we enter Master Rank, I guess it helps us acclimatise and not just get one-shot by everything. On that note, I'm really curious to know, when you got to Master Rank, did you keep your old high rank gear or did you farm for the new stuff? I couldn't wait to ditch my old high rank gear. Well, what did you choose? I reckon there's probably quite a variety in different people. I did the latter. I was excited for the new builds. And Chili Sardine over here was my first Master Rank set. He had some lovely skills on it as well. Ironically, very well suited to the final boss. But, anywho, Gyrotodos was a beige, bland mudfish. And Lavasioth was an annoying Gyrotodos in charcoal grey. So I, for one, welcome the switch up of design. Beatodas is a nice, sharp, sleek design. Like a posh kitchen knife. And he had the mad lad energy of a Scotsman at 3 AM on a night out when somebody outside Wetherspoons insulted Dundee United. I get that he's not super memorable, but he gets my stamp of approval. Beatodas, A tier. Bambaro! Look at this fine specimen. The huge insulated body, the thick fur, perfectly adapted to the cold, harsh environments of the Hoarfrost Reach. Okay? Feels like he really shouldn't be coping with all this heat. A strange choice for an invading species, especially with it being lower tiered monster and all. He's damn cool looking, but just like, what's he doing in the Rotten Vale? How did he get here? And the issue then becomes the same as Basil, where half of your quests are interrupted by incessant brute riven screaming. He's mechanically and visually pretty awesome, but there's just too much overexposure. Bambaro goes in there, B tier. Damn good looking armor though. Feels like if Abba were to cosplay as an elk. Viper Toby Kadachi. Cuckoo Kachul. Alright, so permit me to have a little rant about subspecies. Just for a moment. Listen, I know, okay? I know that by itself, our Viper friend here isn't much to write home about. Dear Mum, today I saw a brown Toby Kadachi. It was kind of alright, but I liked the original. Yours, Bentley. But for me, he represents a welcome step forward for the franchise. See, prior to this, we had the likes of Kezu, who dwelt in a cold environment and used electrical attacks. Then it's subspecies Red Kezu, who lived in cold environments and used electrical attacks. Wow, very interesting. And similarly with the different Rathians, Monoblosses, etc, etc. It doesn't really amazingly represent the idea of creatures mutating and adapting to different environmental pressures. At least not from a gameplay perspective. So yeah, while Viper is a bit annoying and forgettable in isolation, I massively appreciate how different it is from its base form. Even the simple change that it's in a different environment is a really welcome touch. And I do love the idea of combining paralysis and toxic poison, potentially holding a hunter in place while their health drains away. Viper Toby Kadachi goes in the B tier. Nightshade Paolumu. Hate it, get it the frick away from me. Looks way cooler than the original with the peacock decal, but it's equally as annoying, and as for the sleep element, well, by this point I'm assuming most of us just have 3 sleep resistance decos lying around, so, you know, just shove those in your set.
You'll probably barely notice your 3 missing attack jewels in your set anyway, if you have any.
All my points about the regular rat-faced bag remain. F tier. Coral Pooky. Reminds me a bit of Pam from Stardew Valley. Don't really know why though. Original flavour Pooky wasn't awful to me, just uninspiring. But this man, this. Okay, so if a subspecies is a critter that has adapted to different surroundings, then different location equals different colouring. The Coral Highlands means a glorious red. Tick.
Stunning colour scheme, by the way.
Different environment also equals different elemental alignment. Water instead of poison. Tick. Brilliant adaptation of the moveset to include these changes. Particularly love his water jet finisher. See, for me, this is the datum of subspecies going forward. Still keep the essence of the original, but have it genuinely seem like its own identity. Ladies and gentlemen, Coral Pooky is my first Iceborne S tier. Barioth. I respect a fight where part breaks matter, where you feel like you are genuinely weakening the prey. But honestly, he's an annoying, overly fast piece of
Trying not to swear here.
To be fair, I could see how he could appeal to others though. But I don't really have a lot more to say, so Barioth goes in the D tier. Nagak. This little dude probably appeals to the minimalists. You know the people, right? You visit their house and it looks like this, and they're like, sorry about the mess. Meanwhile, you found a Cheeto in your trainers this morning, and you haven't seen the floor in months.
I swear there's a cat around here somewhere. Me? I'm not a minimalist. I'm a maximalist.
Well, okay, not a hoarder, but it takes me a while to sort things out. So for me, Nagi is a bit of a dull design. He just very much is what he is. My main memory of him was making his master rank armor for that sweet razor sharp. Collecting all those claws was such a pain though. Worse still, the armor itself looks kinda gross. Anyway, Nagakuga, C tier. Glavenus. I used to think this was some D tier nonsense. But after hunting him for this review, you know what? I'm gonna put him up in the B tier. No complaints about the design. The glowing tail looks lovely. He's hilariously spiky for some reason. I wish his bite attack had a little more warning, and I think his spicy meatballs are a bit unnecessary for the fight. But you know what? It's a pretty nice to and fro. His turf war with Diablos is entertaining, and I caught this really cool lance main saliva inducing counter moment. So satisfying. That said, respect for all you great sword mains. I have no idea how you deal with a creature like this. He's so shifty. Tigrex.
Tigrex or Tigrex? Because it's kind of like a tiger and kind of like a T-Rex. I always say Tigrex.
You know what you're getting with this dude, and I respect that. He charge, you claw counter, it's as simple as that. Pretty much the definition of C tier for me. I see that he's a quest target, and I'm like, okay, I feel nothing about this either way. So yeah, C tier. Brazados. Now, gotta watch what I say here in case I incur the wrath of Josh from Rage Gaming videos. Bracky, I don't know, I don't like the way he looks. His tail is cool, I'll give him that. Looks like a mace. But I think it's the colour scheme that puts me off. Something about the deep ocean blue with the 90s grunge punk green slime just doesn't quite match somehow. And then his arms are all stubby and I can't help but worry about his joints as he repeatedly slams them into the ground. He's just asking for arthritis later in life. Don't like the nub on his head either. Makes me feel uncomfortable. The fight has always been a bit eye-rolling for me. You think he's in one place, but no, he backstepped for some reason.
He's a boxer, I know, it's what he does.
Anyway, Brazados goes in the D tier. Shrieking Legiana. Who asked for this? I've yet to come across anyone who has a good thing to say about Shriekiana. I'll go off on a joyful tirade about the wonders of variants later, but Yelling Bird here doesn't really count. F tier. Folga Anjanath. So I never actually looked it up, but Folga means dazzling bright and pertains to lightning. The more you know. For me, the only real redeemable strength of the original Anjanath was the way he looks. And yeah, they actually improved on that. Big, huge, chunky, fan of the tiger stripes. Love how his mouth and body glow a gorgeous cerulean when charged up. And the sizzle of lightning across his fins, whatever their purpose is. Other than that, he's pretty much the same. So yeah, just very annoying. And here, look, I have proof. His down state is definitely shorter than other monsters. They're just doing all they can to make him the most wretched thing, aren't they? And does he have to insist on walking behind you like that? And then, of course, like almost everything else, he is, for some unbeknown reason, an invading species. At least with Bambaro, you could say it was an expression of the interaction with the environment.
But not here, so why?
Gotta say though, his end of charged phase move is pretty funny to watch. Folga Anjanath is an improvement on the base form, but only really visual improvements. I'm putting him in the D tier. Acidic Glavenus. Glavenus, but pickled in brine. Now in a new grape flavour. Don't think I'd like the taste of pickled grapes. Doesn't sound very appealing, does it? Just don't drink too much or you'll end up feeling a little weak.
Get it? Because he has defense down. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, he's alright. Kind of a fun fight. Pretty similar to the original, to be fair. And I didn't say this before, but it's always a pleasure to cut his tail and watch it go flying thwop into the ground. Acidic Glavenus, B tier. Ebony Odogaron. See, brother, this is why you must stay hydrated, else you will end up like this, for he is weak to water. Lament, mourn, wear sackcloth and ashes, for we are back on the other end of the subspecies spectrum, the SSS. Apparently, if you deal enough element damage to his head, he snaps out of his rage. You're not you when you're hungry. So, at least there's a reason for the Dragon Blight to stop that.
But be honest here. How many of you even knew that that was a thing? That was a fight mechanic?
Other than the Dragon Phlegm, he's pretty much the same fight, but with worse hit zones. No thoughts, just violence. And...
Say the line, Bart!
Why does he have to be an invading species? So all throughout Master Rank, you're constantly harassed by Moose, Sparkle Rex, and Roid Puppy. Just pick one, we don't need all three. D tier. Offers very little in the way of a new experience. Velana. The flagship. Numero uno. The big cheese with the large freeze. The Iceborne Wyvern.
Yeah, this whole fight is a mess. It's like Monster Hunter bullet hell.
I mean, look at this. Who's gonna clean this up? Suppose it's gonna be me. I do everything in this house. Visually, he's just kinda ice Kushala, not inspiring. Ugh, I never enjoyed this hunt. F tier.
Gosh, it's all starting to sound so negative at the moment, isn't it? Don't worry, that will start ramping up real soon. But not before a special word from the sponsor of today's video, Arch-Tempered Velana.
Is your PC running too slow? Well, shut up and die with Arch-Tempered Velana. Say goodbye to all the fine print in your quest screen with a fight mechanic that we're just not going to bother telling you about. You know that thing you'd forgotten about? What? No? Because it was a vague question in the first place, and by definition you've forgotten about it? Well, that thing's called Elder Seal, and you need it now, because we're flying you and your family straight into the Elder's Recess, where our lovely tour guide will repeatedly stab you to death while silently getting progressively stronger without you realizing. Say goodbye to your old wardrobe as he runs straight through your rocksteady and temporal mantles. Those were so 2019. Book your place today because time is running out. No, seriously, you've only got 30 minutes to do 57,600 damage.
Did I mention he's constantly trying to kill you?
Nah, but seriously, B tier. The new moves are pretty fun and the rewards are amazing. Love the Gamma armor, both visually and functionally. It's nice to have one last test after the Fatalis finale to put our Fatalis armor into use. It's still a horrific mess though. Seething Basil Geese.
There's something odd about this one.
Is there? Kinda just looks like a normal basil to me. Oh, no, he's seething now. Oh, and he's throwing himself around. That's actually quite funny. What? What the frick? He's beautiful. Wow, what's with the eggs? They're incandescent. Oh, and just listen to that noise as they explode. Isn't that just delicious? My goodness. And he's literally a nuke. Well, guess we've got another one for the Power Boys. Another invading actually, no. He just comes to the Elder's Recess. Huh.
And with that in mind, let me now address this topic. Variants.
I know there are specific lore elements that make something a variant. Something to do with individual creatures that have overcome some sort of adversity or something. But more importantly, from a gameplay point of view, I feel they take the base monster and dial them up to 11, and almost all of them are somewhat better for it. Seething is a perfect example of that. Capcom went and took one of the coolest monster designs, took away all the nuisance, and drenched it in Technicolor glory. S tier.
But not just S tier. In fact, Seething Basil Geese is my absolute favourite monster in all of Worldborn.
Whenever I come back and play the game after a break, he's my go-to warm-up quest. Like visiting an old friend. You don't have to say anything. You both love each other, and it means so much. Except, please don't kill your friend. Black Veil Valhazak. Fungal body horror. Lovely. And now he appears in the forest. Also, his puffing things are weak spots, apparently. Honestly, I struggle for new things to say about this guy. It's the same fight as before, just more mushrooms. And I wouldn't even say that's underwhelming or anything. I kind of like the original Valhazak. So, I'm going to put him in the B tier. Namiel. Drop Dead Gorgeous with the emphasis on the drop dead. I think I'm more salty about the Arch-Tempered fight that just had way too much health. Such a drag. And so conniving of them to have him sleep perfectly away from all the walls so you can't wall slam him. His lights appeal to all the magpie senses in my brain, and I love the combination of water and electricity. I just hate the fight so much. And I'll say it, because I know you all love him, but I don't really care much for the noises he makes either.
Come at me, Namiel stands. I hate him.
That said, awful lot of compliments for something I hate. Fighting him for this video just reminded me of how irritating he is. So for me, he goes slap bang in the F tier. Definitely not for the design, but just for the fight itself. Savage Devil Joe.
Woo!
Everything I said about variants? Yup, perfect. Boom! There must be something very monkey-brained in me that loves seeing monsters absolutely hurl themselves at you with reckless abandon. And he's a huge upgrade from old school Savage, where even getting lightly grazed by his tail would leave you in a pin attack for some reason. Really fun lance matchup until you get the unblockable pin attack. I still don't know how you're actually meant to deal with this as a lancer. You get like half a second to react, and getting swamped in a pool of dragon acid isn't amazing either. But even so, interesting weak spot, great colour scheme, sensational layered armour. Savage Devil Joe is an easy S tier for me. Nur Gigante.
Is it bad that I would never have noticed his metal spikes if YouTubers hadn't have pointed it out?
Again, a variant that still keeps the feel of the base fight, but now remixes the moves. Humility is important, and I've got to admit, I failed my first attempt at the 100 MR quest.
It was all just so overwhelming.
And the lance matchup is, how do I say this? Immersion breaking? You spend about half the fight tickling his tummy as he swipes at thin air behind you. It's a situation where no one wins. Well, I guess you do eventually. You are doing damage to him. Also, big fan of adding bleed to this fight. It just makes sense. And his frantic nature makes you move about a lot more, thus amplifying the bleed damage. I'll slap Nur Gigante into the A tier. Charis Valder.
Damn, man. Capcom know how to make a fantastic final boss, don't they?
That moment when you first behold this golem towering over you, sheathed in lapis lazuli. The glockenspiel or xylophone or whatever it is churning out arpeggios. The disquiet, the lull of almost false security. The first stage can still be very challenging, but it's nothing on the horror that awaits. Ingrained in your mind, the moment as he writhes through his skin and unfurls to uncover the foul abomination that lies beneath. Hearing the drums and horns screech as the battlefield is torn asunder. And as the dust settles, you watch in dismay as two spindly arms meet together and you're blasted back to camp. And yeah, I'll admit, this fight has the crappy jank of a Monster Hunter final boss. Sometimes there's only so much you can do when the floor is exploding beneath you, claws are swiping, and teeth are biting. And yeah, it definitely drags on a little. But the spectacle, the splendor. It was a shame we never got an arch-tempered version. Though, maybe that's for the best in the end. Who knows what BS they would have pulled with that. Anyway, Charis Valder. S tier. Zenoga.
Okay, yeah. Don't worry, I see it. Y'all love this dude, don't you?
So don't worry, I'm not gonna just be contrarian and lay into him. Not yet, anyway.
That comes later.
World represented the fundamental version of Zinni. He's predictable and dependable. He fits the aesthetic and looks like a part of the ecology. And, as you may have already guessed, I'm a Lance player. Mention Thunder Puppy to any Lance main and look at their eyes. They sort of glaze over with a youthful wonder. Why? It's not the whole fight. Many of his moves kind of leave you in an awkward position for retaliation. And it's certainly not the unblockable pin.
Nothing. Like, nothing happened.
In fact, if I had teammates, at least he'd sit still for one moment while they could wail on him. No, it's none of those. But it's one crucial, cathartic, cathodic moment. The triple punch. Just the simplest of moves, perfectly timed for countering. Slam, counter, slam, counter, slam, counter. And if you're really lucky, he'll reel back and do it all again. But I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I love the whole thing. I mean, the idiot keeps running away. Hold still. So for me, in Iceborne at least, he holds perfectly in the seat here. Yaruga! I wonder how it felt when the Wright brothers first successfully invented flight. Or how it felt for Neil Armstrong to set foot upon the moon. Or how it must feel to find the cure for a deadly disease and watch in wonder as that cure goes out across the globe and wipes out the likes of polio for good. It must feel something close to a miracle.
I got a taste of a miracle here in Iceborne.
They did it. Those sons of... They actually bloody did it. I can't begin to describe to you how deeply, insanely unfair this monster was in old games. No warning tailspins whenever you're remotely close. Instant roar into wind pressure into swoop. Toxic poison and fire. Mortifying. And when I saw that clip in the pre-release trailer for Iceborne that he was back, I reeled in disgust. But then the day came to meet him in the Guiding Lands, harassing technically the only regular Devil Joe in Master Rank. And they did it. They flipping did it.
They made Yaruga fun. How?
His fight design is, hey, what move shall we give him? Yes. But there's a fluidity and balance to it now. And I'm happy to say they've cured Yaruga. Welcome, buddy. Welcome to the S tier. Scarred Yaruga. And you two, you go in the S tier. That fireball move is hilarious. Also, it's interesting that he can only be encountered in the tempered form. Kind of makes you wonder at the possibilities of the tempered mechanic. But you only have so much budget in a video game. Oh well, moving on. Brute Tigrex.
I like this guy. Y'all seem to hate him, but I think he's admirable.
Imposing in stature while cloaked in a smooth, creamy caramel shell. Caramel. It's interesting because you'd think if he roars a lot, he'd be the most annoying monster ever. But they're not like normal roars, they're just attacks. So just stay out of the way of them. And his armor was great as well. I think at launch it accidentally gave you 8 levels of attack boost, which was an error. Might be remembering that wrong though. I'll put him in the A tier. You all just need to chill out a bit. He's great. Silver Rathalos. Technically I'm going a little out of order here. You young whippersnappers will never understand. You have it so easy these days. I've seen things. I've witnessed nightmares no tongue can describe. Depths of depravity that fill the abyss of the human psyche. The full story? Well, that's for another time. I'll summarize it here in a few sentences. 4 Ultimate was my first game in the series, and I played it for a couple of 100 hours, cleared the village questline, and generally had a pretty positive experience.
Silver Rathalos made me quit the game.
I didn't return for probably a good half a year, maybe more. It was literally that bad. I just stopped playing. I'll spare you the details of why. but you can understand how I must have felt when I heard that he had returned. I encountered Gold Rathian first in Iceborne, so I knew they had a new gimmick. I knew there were some fundamental reworks going on, but Gold was still very, very tough. And as I ran up that slope in the Coral Highlands, what would I behold? Would I once again be brought to the void, to the edge of sanity?
Nah, I was alright in the end.
I'd argue Gold Rathian was harder actually. I mean, it's still Rathalos on steroids, crack, and Red Bull all at the same time. But most of what made the original fight so unconscionable was either phased out in the modernizing rework, or counterable by the mechanics of Worldborn combat design. We'll discuss the glow state in the next section, but for now, we have a moment of redemption. As long as you're not trying to solo that one quest where you had to fight both of them at the same time. Silver Rathalos, B tier. Gold Rathian. Similarly, the history of me and Goldthian is soaked in crimson, cursing, and gnashing of teeth. I made her full ultimate high rank armor out of pure spite for her game design and used it through most of G rank. But yes, where were we? That's right, the glow state. A new mechanic added to the metal rafts for Iceborne. A powered up phase where you walk the tightrope of mortality. You need to deal damage to their heads to knock them out, but their heads are encased in armor, so you need to break that. And to be fair, we have part softening for that now, so it's alright. Both of these, they feel like the appropriate level of difficulty at this point in the game. And the Golden Girl getting her own zoom out move is marvelous. Also, I love the Divine Blessing secret. Such a great comfort skill. Gold Rathian, A tier. Rajang.
Yeah, this dude sucks.
Barely any obvious openings. You think you've got him knocked out, but no, oh no, there's a wall there. You have next to no control over when he flinches, so screw you, I guess. You just spend the entire fight kiting around him to try and hit his stupid stubby tail, and damn it, it's a video game, we don't have depth perception. F tier, horrific trash nonsense.
Also, monkeys freak me out, so that was never really gonna work, was it?
Stygian Zenoga, poor metal puppy, was born to be overshadowed. When he came out, he was just kind of a slightly more insane Zenoga with a new coat of paint. His gear was... yeah, it wasn't really worth making, was it?
And the big red was just around the corner. Maybe I should rephrase that.
With Safi waiting in the rings, well, we all just kind of moved on very quickly. So he would be like a D tier, right? But we have a little redemption arc. See, the game classifies his tempered investigations as being on par with Elders for some reason. So I returned a little while later on. With a crit draw greatsword in hand, actually he's pretty easy to predict. In tempered form, his fur glistens as streams of scarlet set the field ablaze.
Maybe he's a grower, not a shower.
You know what? Why not? Stygian Zenoga, you go in the S tier. So much better than default Doggo. Safija. Expectation. Wow, look at this otherworldly alien dragon, and it's just in its infancy. What wonder will this become? Reality. It's just a regular ass red dragon. Wait, wasn't it supposed to have like 8 eyes? Oh, those are fake. I swear it's not even grown. Expectation. Whoa! Sapphire of the Emperor! Run for cover! Reality. Expectation. Dude, look at all the builds we can craft with this gear. I'm gonna make a free meal secret set, then I'm gonna make a latent power secret set, then... Reality. Come on, give me the damn Teostra bonus! The rewards were novel, and the fight had its moments. But as with probably any siege quest, the experience grew wearisome very quickly. D tier. Furious Rajang!
Am I the only one who found this easier than the base form?
It was Cotton's video on him over at Rage Gaming that made me realise that his new moves gave us new openings now. And I could use a crit draw set to just bonk him around. You have to be real patient, but he's a whole load more manageable than before. Not saying he's easy, of course. It's just that now there's method to the madness. I mean, I still don't definitively want to take him on, but farming him for some good decos feels realistic, and not like going for root canal. B tier. Take care of your teeth, kids. Dental work is expensive. Raging Brazados. I don't know why he hates the ground so much, but that last phase is bloomin' brilliant. The shift in music, the deep dark colours, the terrifying boiler room of explosive slime. I find the fight as a whole kind of crappy, and I'm always shocked at how delayed his roar is. But it's an experience I don't mind reliving.
And what did you think about this? Did you mind that it was a very choreographed, streamlined experience? Or would you have liked to have seen him in other situations?
I think I appreciated the change of pace a bit, made it less complicated. Anyway, Raging Brazados goes in the B tier. Fang Barioth. You always hear people say that this came out at the wrong time, don't you? I get their reasoning, but I disagree. Alatrion, Fatalis, and Arch-Tempered Velana are what I call the big three. The true test of a hunter. The "this is supposed to be hard" fights. After the, shall we just say, mixed response to Alatrion, I think a moment to breathe was really welcome. And if you were still struggling to beat Alatrion's special assignment, then the Frostfang weapons were an excellent choice. Extra Chili Saber Boy's armor was an absolute game changer for me, single-handedly making Crit Draw Greatsword viable in the end game. And while the visual changes were subtle, I would say he looks a lot more appealing than Vanilla Cat.
It's all the silver, I think. I really like the silver.
So, Frostfang Barioth, A tier. Alatrion. So, yeah. I hated this thing on arrival. An incessant barrage of attacks. One wrong move and you're toast. Or frozen bread. Or soggy bread. Or anyway. No time to heal. And sure, why not? Let's give him an unavoidable one-shot move that wipes the whole team. It's bizarre that he's far more viable to solo. If I were to guess, I'd say it took me at least 6 tries to beat. And from what I hear, that's not bad going at all. All for some pretty underwhelming rewards. So yeah, Alatrion goes in the A tier.
Nah, seriously. I went through all the emotions that you probably felt as well.
But these days, if someone were to ask me to summarize the fight, I'd say surprisingly fair. Like, yeah, one wrong move and you're dead. But almost all of his moves are well telegraphed, so it is on you if you get hit. Don't have time to heal? Yeah you do. You just need to use max potions. They take no time at all. And the Eschaton Judgment? It's harsh, but it does force you to stay aggressive and adjust your build. I'm sorry, but you may need to bring Health Boost 3. And I get it. Health Boost 3 wasn't specifically the issue, but I admire the push for a more considered approach to the fight. I like the strategy. There are 2 criticisms that I do agree with though. The first being that just the sheer amount of time he spends flying during the dragon phase, it's really unfair. And the second criticism is that you have to break the horns in the dragon phase. That's probably only about 1.5 minutes where you don't really get that many openings on the head.
But all in all, I think it's supposed to be just a really bloody tough fight.
And that's okay. It's one of the last challenges. If you can't beat him, you don't suck at the game or anything. You've done really well to get this far. No, his music rocks as well. Fatalis. And at last we come to our story's end. What a wild journey it's been. Worldborn has brought us one of the most gorgeous, immersive experiences in gaming and entertainment as a whole. How about one last hurrah?
So, how long did it take me to beat Fatalis? I think all in all, probably around 10 tries.
It felt like more than that, so maybe I'm gaslighting myself. The week that this released was carnage. Still, one of my favourite things is watching people try and try and try again until they finally succeed. The elation on their face. It is, all things considered, a fairly straightforward fight. Now, this definitely isn't an S-tier experience. This fight is not exactly what I would call fair. Be it the freaking massive fireballs or the sudden wind pressure into flame melty combo. There's plenty here that's really, really hard to avoid. I honestly gave up trying to lance him after about 2 attempts. When you're stuck in shield stun purgatory because even guard 5 cannot save you, it's just, you just know it's not going to be a fun one.
But, bit by bit, you build a strategy.
Eat for the right buffs. Make a whole specialist build. Bring a ghillie mountie. Equip heavy artillery, divine protection, fire resist. Actually, honestly, his attacks do so much damage that I'm not even sure fire resistance makes that much difference. Weird that his armor is actually weak to fire. How does that work? I think I beat him with regular Velana gear because at the end of the day, you just don't ever want to be hit by his flames no matter what you're wearing. Anyway, fire the cannons. Bait the cone. Be patient, patient, patient. Focus the head, focus the head. You cannot let him get to phase 3 with blue flames. I'd sooner take a little extra time now and make sure I get that right. Then, just go ape and do the best you can. Sometimes he'll just combo you or snipe you out of nowhere. But when that quest ends, what a victory! Handsome rewards for a triumphant hunter. Remember somebody complaining that the rewards were too broken? My dude, it's the last truly new monster. Let the people go hog wild. So yeah, the fight is not entirely fair, and it's a little too intense at times. But be it the gravitas of the setting or the sheer woo of the zoom out cone, it's filled with brilliant moments. A tier.
And there we have it, we made it. What a wild ride. Monster Hunter World and Iceborne is one of the most incredible gaming experiences I've ever had. I really hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please consider giving it a like. It's really encouraging for me to see. It was amazing to see the reception on the last one. So I guess next up we've got Rise. Whatever you're doing this week, I hope you have a wonderful time. Anyway, take care, and I'll catch you on the other side.